the church it's growing pretty at a pretty decent rate there. They just about 3 years ago, or 2.5, right before I got there, they opened up a new stake, and they're opening up new wards and building new meeting houses. And the closest temple to Queretaro is in Mexico City, and it's about a 2-hour trip by bus. But I heard members talking that if it keeps growing at the rate that it is right now, they'll probably see a temple pretty close to that area in the next few years, or at least an announcement. So that'll be cool. If that happens, I hope it does. There aren't really a whole lot of branches in Querétaro. They're actually wards, and they're growing quite well. A big problem down there is retention and activation of inactive members, or members will get baptized and they might start to go inactive because they'll get a new job. Lots of people change jobs really frequently down there, and they'll have to work on Sundays, or they can only go to church one Sunday a month or stuff like that. And so there's lots of people being baptized, but I'd say in each ward probably has around 700 members, but out of those 700, between 80 and 180 will attend. I know several times in my mission, like usually around the beginning of the year, New Year's, the first Sunday of the year, or around Christmas time or Easter, you'll get a huge spike in people that'll go to church, and then you won't see them for a few weeks or a few months. But that's the the great work that's going on right now, is while we're still baptizing new people and helping people to join Christ Church, we're helping people come back. And so those wards are starting to spike back up again and grow. And it's amazing how the church buildings down there, they can look so, I guess, small when there's only a few people in there. But when you start getting in lots of families and members, it's amazing how many people you can fit into the sacrament room, into the chapel. So we have the state of Querétaro, and then the state next to it is called Guanajuato. So both of those states are the mission. Querétaro, there's 3 stakes, and Guanajuato there's 5 or 6 in the whole state of Guanajuato. And there's lots of members there, but it's not growing quite as fast as Querétaro. But I know that a few apostles have visited Guanajuato and spoken. And in the state of Querétaro, it's actually one of the smallest states in Mexico. It's not big at all. You can get from one side of the state to the other side in probably an hour and a half. It's very industrious. There's lots of factories. One cultural shock for me was there are a lot of wealthy Mexicans in the state of Querétaro. They have very nice houses. There's also a lot of poor areas too. A lot of unfinished houses, like cinder block houses, and they'll have like tarps for roofs, or they won't have, it'll just be a bunch of dirt in front of their house. But the most people that I talked to, they had cars, they had, plenty of money for food and for TVs and stereos and video games. And so the people there are very hardworking. Were in Querétaro, lots of resources available. And as a missionary, it wasn't, I never felt like, I never felt like I didn't have, enough food or anything like that. There was always resources there. And the living conditions there for missionaries, we just lived in regular houses or apartments. And What's interesting there is hardly anybody, you will probably only see carpet 3 or 4 times in your mission, and it will probably be in a bishop's office at the church, or by some stroke of luck, maybe you'll get taken to a restaurant and they might have carpet there, but it's all tile. There's no wood floors or anything. It's either tile or cement or dirt. And so that was kind of an odd thing for me, because I mean, here in the US we have carpet on everything pretty much. The houses aren't really insulated because they're cinder block, and then there's maybe some plaster and some paint, and so the houses can get kind of drafty. But in the summer months it's also nice because it gets a little cool. The Leon mission, about 2 years ago, they split it in half and took a few parts of it that were Aguas Calientes and a place called San Luis Potosi, and they made that its own mission, and they called it the Aguas Calientes mission. And then they took Leon and the whole state of Guanajuato and added it to the Queretaro mission. So we pretty much, you could kind of say that they shut the Leon mission down, or they cut it in half and renamed it the Aguas Calientes mission. But I guess any way you look at it, Leon isn't a mission anymore. So really the only thing that changes, and from one part of Mexico to another part, is the food and their accents. In Mexico City, people talk super fast and in kind of a high-pitched voice. And then in Querétaro, people speak more moderately at a good tempo. And actually, a lot of people move to Querétaro from other places in Mexico. So you get lots of people from all over the country there. It's very beautiful there, very green. Lots of, especially in the northern part of Querétaro, they have a lot of fruit trees, and as far as I knew, there still weren't any missionaries up that north, but it's been growing. So you might get to serve in a very kind of like a farm town area, where there'll be lots of like fruit trees and stuff like that. And that is kind of different. You wouldn't see stuff like that in Mexico City or in northern Mexico, where it's a little more deserty.